just being like at a red light. Will it ever be all right? Hi everyone, welcome to this video. Today we're going to be doing an in-depth dive to the lyrics to Death by a Thousand Cuts by Taylor Swift. This is probably my favorite song off of Lover. Taylor writes the best bridges and it has one of my favorite bridges in this album. I'm gonna look at word choice, which is diction, and connotation. Connotation can be thought of as the emotions or the vibes that the words elicit. As a quick disclaimer, these are just my opinions and my analyses on the song lyrics. We can't know for sure what Taylor meant, and everyone will interpret the song differently. This song isn't autobiographical. Taylor has mentioned that once she found herself in a stable and loving relationship and she was happy, she was concerned about whether or not she could continue writing breakup songs. But then she wrote this song. She proved that she could. I think this song was inspired by a Netflix movie called Someone Great. I haven't watched it, but I've heard it's really, really good, just as a fun fact. Hi. Hello everyone, present day me here. Just thought I would stop by and provide a quick explanation as to what's going on and why I have bangs all of a sudden. I did post a very short explanation video yesterday. Pretty much what happened is that my folklore lyric analysis for this week had a lot of technical issues with it. It could not be salvaged and I didn't have time to record a new video. Instead of skipping this week, I looked into my archives to see if there was anything that was worth posting, and I actually found the video you're gonna watch today. It is a lyric analysis of the song Death by a Thousand Cuts off of Taylor's Lover album. This video was filmed a few months ago when I first started my YouTube channel. I know quite a few of you actually requested this song, so I'm really stoked to get this video out sooner. You'll notice the camera is very close. I was still trying to figure out my camera situation back then, but I do stand behind the analysis and the content of this video. Since so many of you guys requested it, I thought it'd be really cool just to put it out earlier than expected. I'm just gonna state that Jean Jacket Me is gonna pop in here a few times. There were a few instances where the camera was just way too awkward and I was out of frame, so I'm just gonna be saying those parts again but in frame, and I may add one or two extra notes in here as well. I just want to make sure I get everything in this video about the song, and I hope you all enjoy it. So place your bets now on which version of me is going to analyze which metaphor: Jean Jacket Me or me with bangs. The song is called Death by a Thousand Cuts. This is a breakup song referring to the fact that breakups aren't often a clean break. It's a process. You're okay and then some feels hit you. It's an ongoing type of process. It's not like you're just being struck down one time. It's little cuts, and there's so many, there's 1,000 of them, that they end up causing you a great deal of pain. Another thing I want to note about the title of this song, Death by a Thousand Cuts, this is very intense when you think about it. The word death is obviously very intense. What is dying here though? We can look at this in a few different ways. The relationship died, it's over, it's no longer something that exists, and maybe a part of the protagonist of this song died. Protagonist just means the main character of the story. Or maybe the version of the protagonist that was in that relationship died. But something is dying in this song, right? And it's due to this breakup. But it's not dying all at once. It's not like a sudden death or anything. It's a slow sort of death. It's by 1,000 cuts. A small cut is not going to cause death, but 1,000 little ones can. The way in which the protagonist metaphorically dies in this song, it's a very slow process, and it's a very painful process. Not to be graphic, but if there's enough of those small cuts and you bleed out of each of those small cuts, you could still die. When you really think about it, this song is very intense, and it's describing a very heavy and deep emotion. This is just a sort of metaphorical death that's happening, where she is just getting hit over and over and over again, and she's getting closer and closer and closer to just giving out. This song, when you listen to it melodically and just the background instrumentals and everything like that, I think it does a really good job of mirroring the emotions felt. There's a lot of noise. It's very pleasant noise because this is a very fun song to listen to, but there's a lot going on. It's kind of chaotic. It's just a lot. It's hard to take it all in at one time. I think this mimics what the protagonist of the song is going through. There's so much going through her mind, as we'll get into, but also just it's cut. Reminders here, reminders there. There's a lot happening here, and it's going to have a synergistic effect. One cut alone isn't going to cause a metaphorical death, but 1,000 cuts will. When something has a synergistic effect, it means that alone it doesn't really have an effect at all, but altogether it's going to have an effect that's greater than the parts that make it up. And I think that's definitely what's happening here. Dramatic reading pose. Saying goodbye is death by 1,000 cuts. Flashbacks waking me up. I get drunk, but it's not enough. It's really hard for me not to sing this song because it's so like, I get drunk, but it's not enough because the morning comes and you're not my baby. She's starting this song out just with the thesis statement. Saying goodbye is death by 1,000 cuts. The definition of goodbye in this particular relationship, in this particular breakup, is 1,000 cuts. It's not going to be a clean break. It's going to hurt and you're just going to feel pain little by little. It's the little things that perhaps remind you of them. You walk by like a cafe and that was like your regular spot. Just little things, and that is the metaphorical death of you. Something really interesting about this song that I think is very reflective of its intense nature is that the first verse is actually the chorus, and the first line actually has the title of the song in it. She is like coming in full speed. She's like, I have stuff to say. It's been like boiling up in me. I've had it, like I've held it in long enough and now it's just coming out. All of the emotion is spilling over. The first verse is the chorus. The thesis statement is the first line of the song, and she's stating it like right out of the gate. Saying goodbye is death by 1,000 cuts. There's no like subtle demeanor here. This is being explicitly stated, and that's a very direct reflection of the intensity and the depth of emotion felt here. It's not a very stable sort of emotion. It's kind of just like it comes in waves. When you break up with someone or when you go through something that intense, you know, it hits you in waves. And this song is reflective of that. With the instrumentation and just with the fact that it starts abrupt, it kind of goes back a little bit when we're revisiting the memories, and there's a little bit of the anecdotes and a little bit of the introspection, but then death by 1,000 cuts is repeated all throughout the song. I know it's the name of the song, but I always state that repetition signifies significance. It's repeated over and over again. Even in this one verse, it's repeated twice. She's stating it, giving you some evidence, stating it's death by 1,000 cuts, giving you evidence. It's just a lot, and the fact that it's the very first line of the song, you're being told right up front what the song is about, and it's just like, I feel this very strongly and I'm letting you know. This first half of the verse really gives us context. She's supporting the claim that it's just little things that bother you. There's flashbacks that wake her up. Even getting drunk isn't helping this person forget about this. The first half of this verse is really just painting a picture of what this person is going through. This part I was out of frame for, but I talked about the flashbacks, and the fact that they're waking her up is reflective that there is an unbalance within the protagonist of this song. When you're not at ease and when there is just something not resolved in you, you're not gonna be in like a peaceful state. That's why she's being woken up by these flashbacks. It's something that she hasn't fully processed yet. So like internally and subconsciously, she is just not at peace. She's not having them during the day. They're disrupting her sleep, and sleep is very important. It's a time when your body rebuilds. It's a time when your brain processes things. When you study, you have to sleep because that's when your brain is processing it. So the fact that her sleep is being disrupted here is very important and is a reflection of how not chill she is with everything that's going on. And also the fact that it says she's getting drunk, but it's not enough. This shows that she's getting drunk on purpose and that she's doing it to numb herself. You know what I mean? She's not like casually getting drunk on accident. She's doing it on purpose. She's trying to numb herself. She recognizes that she can't handle it all at once, so she's trying to dilute the emotions that she's feeling. Not healthy, but it's a thing that's happening in this song. Yes. I look through the windows of this love, even though we boarded them up. Chandelier is still flickering here because I can't pretend it's okay when it's not. It's death by 1,000 cuts. Their love is a house, it's a home, and she's looking through the windows of that love. She's trying to figure out like where it went wrong. In that house, she's alone now. Her partner is no longer there, so she's alone in their house of love. She has to remain in this house of love until she can sort it out and go through the processes, and then she can leave this house, close the door behind her, and then move on to a brighter path, new beginnings. For now, she's in this house of love. She's looking through the love. So she could be looking back at flashbacks, trying to figure out what went wrong and trying to process through it so she can then gain the ability to leave it behind, which is good. I feel like you should process things. If you just run out the door of this metaphorical house of love, you are going to take baggage with you. But if you take your time and you process it, you can just leave and not take anything from that house that you don't need. You can take your lessons learned, but you don't need the baggage, okay? Just leave that. Bye. Yeah, let's just leave that there. So I want to add this in. When we're talking about the windows of this love, there's actually two ways that you can look at this. The way I described it here is a house of love that y'all built, and she's the only one left in here because her partner left. So the windows are boarded up because it's not a sustainable place to live anymore. It's not safe. So they boarded it up to signify that this is not a place that can be inhabited. But she's still in there because she still has love, right? She still has love for her partner that's not resolved. So she's still in that house. She's looking out the windows out into the world, trying to get back out there. That's one way to look at it. The windows are boarded up too. So like, she's not really even going to be able to see anything unless there's like a little part of it that has an opening. She's still in that dark house. It's dark because the windows are boarded up. No sunlight can get in. But she's just kind of walking around trying to understand what's going on and trying to process things. Another way you can look at it is that since the windows are boarded up, you can argue that you can't even get into the house anymore. So she could be looking through the windows from the outside. This is like their metaphorical love house, and she's walking past it. She wants to look inside. She wants to revisit those memories, but the windows are boarded up now. Maybe she can peek in if there's like a little crack, but it's not gonna be the same. There's no inhabitants in that house. That house is not lively. There's probably overgrown shrubs, and it's probably just like not cute anymore. There's no curb appeal here. They're gonna be on an episode of Fixer Upper. She could be walking from the outside trying to revisit it and like be nostalgic, but it's boarded up. Even looking inside, it's not gonna have the same substance that it used to. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be different. The chandelier is still flickering there. The windows are boarded up. It's not an active living space, but the chandelier is still flickering. It's not on, but it's still like, there's still a little something going on, right? It's still not completely over for the person inside. The fact that the chandelier is still flickering also signifies that there's unfinished business here. It's kind of like a haunting in a way because the protagonist of this song has not been able to pass on, has not been able to move on or pass along in the way she's supposed to. She is subconsciously haunting this relationship a little bit. That could also be what the flickering of the chandelier is signifying here. The house of love doesn't have any inhabitants and it's boarded up, but there's still some unfinished business here, and it's the unfinished business of the protagonist of this song. And the chandelier gives off light, but it can't turn on, right? Light is a very positive image, but it can't turn on here because there's no love left. She's trying to create something great here, right? She's trying to create light, but it's not gonna work. They need an electrician, but since this house is not habitable, no electrician's gonna come. She needs to move on, she needs to move out, learn the lessons, and get out without baggage. I dress to kill my time. I take the long way home. I ask the traffic lights if it'll be all right. They say, I don't know. And what once was ours is no one's now. I see you everywhere. The only thing we share is this small town. This is very relatable. I really love it when Taylor gives you very specific examples that you can relate to. She's getting dressed up to kill time. She's killing time so she doesn't have to think about that relationship. You often do things to distract yourself, to not think about things. People stress bake or stress clean so they can focus at the task at hand instead of focusing on what you need to heal inside of yourself. I believe that's what this is alluding to not think about it. She's making the effort to dress up. She's taking the long way home because when you go home, perhaps you don't have that much stuff to do, so you have to sit there with your thoughts and you have to be alone with your thoughts, and then you have to think about it and process it. She's trying to avoid the situation. Jean jacket is back again. Some things I said were out of frame, so I'm just gonna restate them here. I hope this is providing some comedic relief to y'all. The fact that I'm switching between the bangs version of me and just me with the jean jacket, I don't know, but I hope you're enjoying the analysis so far, and I hope this isn't bothering you. I talked about how the protagonist is trying to numb themselves, and they're trying to just not face everything because it's too soon for them to do so. They need to take everything in a diluted way. I talked about this concept in my lyric analysis of the song Supercut by Lorde, which I will link for you guys down below if you're interested. When it says I take the long way home, I do wonder if she's trying to go back to their metaphorical house of love or if she's going to her new home. That's an interesting thing to think about. I asked the traffic lights if it'll be all right. They say, I don't know. I really enjoy this image. I view this person just at a red light, just being like, will it ever be all right? It's just a very vulnerable moment. Sometimes you just need to ask an inanimate object if it's gonna be all right, and they're not gonna answer you, but you know what? It's fine. This just illustrates the desperation and the vulnerability that this person is going through at this time. That's illustrating the extent to which they are suffering and the extent to which they kind of feel helpless too. They're just like, help me, traffic lights. The fact that she's talking to the traffic lights, like, I respect this. This is just when you're at your wit's end and you just need a sign, right? There is a green, red, and yellow, and whatever one happens, that's going to be the sign that I'm going to go off of. It's just showing desperation, and it's just like you don't really know what to do. Like, she's had it, right? Her emotional cup is full, and it's not full of positive emotions. Sometimes, like, emotionally you're at full capacity and you can't take anymore, you can't process anymore. I feel like that's the state that this protagonist is on, because the whole thing with the traffic lights, like, it's funny, but it also is just showing how full she feels, and not full in a positive way. There's a heaviness present here, and it's spilling outwards in the act of her being like, hey, traffic lights, what's going on? There's so much happening that you're just like talking to inanimate objects, which is totally fine as long as you don't expect a reply back. And what once was ours is no one's now. I see you everywhere, the only thing we share is this small town. You said it was a great love, one for the ages. If the story is over, why am I still writing pages? Every lyric in this song is very intentional and like a masterpiece. I really, really love this song, like, immensely. I love it so much. And what once was ours is no one's now. This makes me think that their love was tangible. I talked about the intangibility of love and kind of what that means in my video for Cornelia Street that I will link. I feel like Taylor toys with this idea that love can be so powerful that it goes from an intangible form. Intangible just means you can't touch it, it's not in the physical world, but it's so strong that it becomes tangible. It's what once was ours is no one's now. It just kind of makes love feel like something that you can possess. It was just theirs, but now no one has ownership of the beauty of their love anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. A very heartbreaking thing to think about. This is something I want to add. When it's stated that what once was ours is no one's now, it does make the love seem special because it cannot be replicated, so no one else can experience it and own it. So it is a very sad sentiment, like I just mentioned, but it can also be a beautiful thing because what they had seems to have been real, at least in some sort of way, right? Can't be replicated, it cannot belong to anyone else. It was just theirs. So that's cute, I guess. Just trying to bring some positivity into this very intense song. I see you everywhere. There's memories everywhere in that town. The lyrics mention that the only thing they have in common now is that they live in the same place. And I could imagine that every single spot in that town, especially if you're in a long relationship, you see memories that you had with that person. It's very difficult to pass them by and know that that no longer exists. This lyric in particular really does signify the progression of time. They used to share everything. Everywhere in that town, there would be instances where they spent time together, right? But now all of those like memories, all of those hangout spots, they don't exist anymore. The only thing they have in common is the location in which they exist. And that is very impersonal. And to go from something so intimate into something so like general and like not intimate is very sad. The line that says, you said it was a great love, is kind of heartbreaking because she's thinking back to what her partner said. It's hard when you have those memories of someone explicitly stating things like that and you know that it's not what became your reality. So that is heartbreaking, but it is realistic. If the story is over, why am I still writing pages? This suggests to me that the other person is the one that wanted to leave the relationship. They stopped writing their love story, but the person in this song, they're still writing pages. They're still not over it. They're still processing it. And that particular image of writing like on a page kind of hits home for me as a Taylor Swift fan because Taylor writes all of her songs. So just from a songwriter perspective, not me, Taylor's a songwriter, it kind of like hits hard. You're still trying to process what's going on. Like, I still don't understand. There's still a chandelier flickering here in our house of love. The light is still kind of on, like it's not over yet. I'm still writing the pages of our love story. You know, you're still trying to understand and process the fact that it's over. The fact that she's still writing pages, again, signifies that she's the one who has not moved on yet. She's the one trying to either look into their house of love or is she still lingering in their house of love. This is a chapter that has ended, but she's trying to write a sequel or something, but there needs to be a fresh page. Now we have the bridge, which in true Taylor Swift fashion is the best part of the song. Let's get into it. It's a longer bridge, so I'm gonna break it up. I get so like pumped when I read this bridge. I wanna go like do some cardio, and I never wanna do cardio, so you know it's a good bridge. My heart, my hips, my body, my love. Trying to find a part of me that you didn't touch. Gave up on me like I was a bad drug. Now I'm searching for signs in a haunted club. This is just very vulnerable and very specific, and there's always a lot of value I find in specificity and in details. It just makes you connect with it, and it makes you more emotional. There's much more of an emotional attachment to something when it's specific. My heart, my emotional attachment to you. Yet another part where I was out of frame. My heart, again, is referring to the emotional intimacy felt. My hips and my body, reflective of the physical nature of the relationship, which also brings a lot of intimacy. My love, different types of love. Obviously, there's a romantic type of love here, but it can also be a spiritual type of love. And it's just, all of these things were affected by him, and all of these things are reminiscent of him as well. She's trying to find something that this person didn't have any like hand in. It's a relationship where he was a part of her essentially, and she's just trying to cleanse herself of him. She's just trying to find something that he didn't touch, just something for herself to feel like her own person. There's also repetition of the word my. When you listen to the song, the intro, it says my. I literally can't sing, so I'm sorry I did that, but go listen to it. And it's just kind of like an echo of like my. Like all of those things belong to the protagonist, but she doesn't have ownership of it anymore. They are hers, it's her body, it's her heart, it's like her everything. But even though it's hers, it doesn't feel like it's hers. And the echoes at the beginning of this song are just kind of like an internal frustration of like, these are mine, but it's not mine. Like, I want it back. She's like clawing her way through these emotions. She's like, they're mine and I want it back. My. It's a very frustrating thing to not feel like your own person, especially due to another person having ownership of it or having had a very big effect on it. This is very intense. Like, especially the echoes and the repetition of the word my at the beginning of this song. It's just kind of like you're entering a space where there's echoes of a sort of haunting or a sort of just like somber thing. She's lost the partner, but she's lost herself. This was a common theme in Taylor Swift's 1989 album, and she has that whole poem as well about finding herself. I'll eventually get to analyzing that as well. It's a very beautiful concept and a very beautiful theme. The echoes of my and then the repetition of the word my here, like if I sit and think about it, it's gonna give me chills. It's very beautifully done. It's literal art. It's very heartbreaking. Gave up on me like I was a bad drug. Bad drug that has a negative connotation. It connotes a feeling of worthlessness and of something that is hurtful and not healthy. So that's a very low place to be if you feel like you're a bad drug. Hi. Let me know if me like looking very different every time you see me is keeping you interested in this video. I'm not doing it on purpose. It just got really hot, so I took off my jean jacket. And y'all, I'm just gonna be real with you for a sec. I had to make myself a homemade pumpkin spice latte because I was getting stressed. I noticed that I'm adding a lot of notes into this video. I think I'm much more critical of analysis now than I was a few months ago when I started. And I'm noticing that like I think more of the video is present day me versus me with bangs, and like I'm kind of like, should I just refilm everything? But then in my video yesterday where I explained what was going on, I literally promised y'all like me with bangs, so I don't know what to do. I hope this is at least entertaining for y'all and you're like, OMG, what is she gonna look like next? Is she gonna have a cup? Is she gonna have a bag of chips? What's gonna happen? Anything can happen on this channel. If anyone knows a really good like homemade pumpkin spice latte recipe, let me know. I'm very basic when it comes to fall. I have no shame in my fall game. The same way I stan Taylor Swift lyrics, I stan fall, so. Okay, let's get back to business. I'm sorry if this video is all over the place and just like very, very random. I honestly don't know if I should just refilm this or not, but I think I'm just gonna keep in the old clips just because I said I would, and it's really important for me, like based on principle, to keep my word with things. So this video is random, but I hope you still like it, and maybe it's gonna provide some comedic relief. I don't know. Okay, the word drug. A drug is something that's harmful, so if you're comparing yourself to a drug, that's obviously not great, right? You not only feel belittled, like I just stated, but you also feel like a danger. You feel like something that needs to be thrown out. You're like something that people are going to be arrested over. You're not only feeling small, you're feeling like something that is a danger to society, right? Something that is harmful. Now I'm searching for signs in a haunted club. This to me would be going out to a club and trying to look for answers, trying to dance the pain away. Club being haunted, perhaps haunted with their memories. There's just a remnants of that relationship there, and she's going there trying to find answers, trying to understand, we had so much fun here, why aren't we doing that anymore? So like I was just stating, the club could be haunted because it could have been somewhere they used to go together, but it could just become haunted due to the thoughts that she's having while she's there. Like, she could be making it haunted herself. So she could have made the club haunted. She could have just like projected her vibes and her emotions and her memories outwards into the space that she's in. So maybe the club wasn't somewhere that they used to go to together, but she's trying to like think through things wherever she's at. She happens to be in a club trying to forget, but she's thinking so much, the memories, the replaying. The location she's in when she's feeling it now feels haunted. Let me know if that makes sense in the comments below. Our songs, our films, united we stand, our country. Guess it was a lawless land. Quiet my fears with a touch of your hand. The next line is my favorite line in this whole song. The first time I heard it, I had chills. I had literal goosebumps. Paper cut stings from our paper thin plans. Chef's kiss. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, like literal OMG. So this is again illustrating the depth of the relationship. They had songs that were their songs. They had movies that were their movies. Their lives were intertwined very, very well and very intensely. They had their own country. They had their own house of love. But now the image we have, the word country, they had their own country together, a country that they ruled together. You know, that's how many things they had in common. They like built an empire together. This was like a legit relationship. This was a very, what appeared to be like a bountiful relationship. They were able to build so much together. But now she's saying it's a lawless land. The diction there, the word lawless, suggests that there were no rules, but it takes away all of the substance from what they built. It suggests that what they built wasn't what she thought it was. She thought they built this country, this land, this empire. Look, we're so strong. Our foundation's so strong. We're just building upwards and outwards, and it's great. But I guess it was a lawless land. There were no rules, ruling without a purpose. We accidentally made something beautiful, but it didn't have a foundation. That's why it crumbled. Quiet my fears with a touch of your hand. I feel like this is kind of like a memory where she's like hoping, make me feel better. You know, I just want to feel your hand. It's kind of that desperation where you miss someone. That's how I'm interpreting that particular lyric. I'm just gonna keep adding notes. I like, all bets are off. I'm just like, my cup is here, my PSL is here, like it's raining outside. I'm just, whatever. I might put my jean jacket back on, we'll see. This coffee is actually really cold now. It's kind of like iced coffee, but on accident. Okay, quiet my fears with a touch of your hand. I think this is just referring to something that would have calmed her down in the past, but it's something that cannot exist in the present because the relationship doesn't exist anymore. I think in the midst of all of this intense emotion, she's like, you know what? I know what would make me feel better. It's something that I don't have access to anymore. And that's a very heartbreaking realization to have. Ooh, paper cut stings from our paper thin plans. When you get a paper cut, it hurts sometimes. It really, really hurts. And sometimes it hurts more than if you hurt a larger part of your body, like stub your toe. Your toe is larger than an area a paper cut would be on, but a paper cut hurts more. And it's so annoying because a paper cut is so small. It's like microscopic, but it like burns and it bleeds sometimes. And you're just like, ow, like it's painful and it's annoying. The phrase paper thin plan agrees with the claim I just made that there was no foundation. I feel like they accidentally created a beautiful relationship, but they didn't have a plan for it. They accidentally had a very intense relationship, but there was no foundation that they were building upon. It was a lawless land. There were no rules. Their plans were paper thin. There was no strong, stable foundation to their relationship. And even though it was beautiful, the view from the top was great, there was nothing to hold it up, so it fell. The fact that their plans were so thin is giving her all these paper cuts, and it hurts and it stings, and that's how she feels like she's metaphorically dying. Just these little stings. Paper thin plans though. Paper thin plans. So if they are the king and queen of a land, we're gonna assume they wrote a constitution, right? Because they're doing this the right way, right? One would assume. I also want to say that Taylor has used this idea before of someone's love creating a metaphorical kingdom in King of My Heart, or a land like an exile. I'm gonna link those two videos for you guys because it deals with similar concepts and a similar use of this metaphor. I really love this metaphor, but pretty much this is just casual now. Like I'm literally just like this is my knee and I'm just straight chilling. Why not? This is fun to talk about. When you have like a land and you're like doing it the right way, you're gonna have like a constitution for your constituents, and like a constitution should be written on like, I don't know, like with a quill and a scroll and a very like hardcore, like old-timey vibes official sort of thing, or it would at least be digital in this day and age. But their love and everything about their love is paper thin. I don't even think it's on cardstock. I don't think it's on printer paper. I think it's on a very cheap paper that when you like put it up to the sunlight, you can see through it. That's the type of paper it's referring to here, and those give you the worst paper cuts, let me tell you. It's just stating that there is no substance behind this relationship. It is something that lacked any sort of substantial nature. And like the Bangs version of me mentioned, this is something that happened accidentally. I really do believe it. They found a relationship full of love on accident. It wasn't built intentionally. And sometimes you can find love accidentally, but then build it up with intention. But I think they just fluttered about in this accidental, serendipitous love, but they did not take it seriously. Like they didn't want to move it forward. They just kind of existed horizontally. Do you know what I mean? Like they didn't move forward on a path, like vertically, I guess, like forward. They fluttered like sideways. It's kind of like a pendulum. It's like back and forth, but you're like not going anywhere. But if you move forward on a path, you're going to a new location, brighter horizons. You could be like going up a mountain and not realizing it and going to greater heights, but they were not moving forward in any way. They were just like straight chilling in a very like dead end sort of way. The place that was a dead end was cute though, because there was love there, but it wasn't going to take them anywhere. My time, my wine, my spirit, my trust, trying to find a part of me that you didn't take up. Gave you too much, but it wasn't enough. But I'll be all right. It's just 1,000 cuts. I really need to do cardio to this song. Like, I really, really do. This person is so intertwined and embedded in her existence. It hurts. It hurts so much. My time. You took up my time. I was always with you. My wine. I can't even enjoy a glass of wine anymore because we always had wine together, but she can't enjoy that anymore because it's tainted with the memories. It's also tainted with something that didn't have the foundation you thought it had. You're believing something, but what you are believing isn't the reality. You thought there was a strong foundation. You thought that your plans, were not paper thin. You thought they were like a book, a really hard, sturdy book, but they weren't. You got kind of like blindsided by it. You're like, where did this come from? I thought we were solid, but you weren't solid. You're realizing that now, after it's ended. You're kind of going back and being like, oh yeah, our plans were paper thin. Our country was a lawless land. We should have communicated better or something. My spirit, my trust. The word spirit, that diction, it could be kind of like a spiritual, religious type of vibe. I am interpreting that as someone's liveliness and just, when someone has spirit, they're like spirited and they're like alive and fun. I think that's what that's referring to. And then my trust. Ooh, my trust. So this person has affected everything about her. This was a very intense relationship, and perhaps she lost herself in this relationship and lost her individuality. And when you are consumed by a relationship to that extent, if it's over, you feel like you have nothing. And that's a very not healthy / potentially dangerous place to be. And you really have to work your way through it. I'm back again. Cheers. Again, repetition of my. I just want to remind y'all of the intense echoing of the word my at the beginning of this video. My time. So her partner took up her time, and her partner is still taking up her time because she is still thinking about it, right? Her partner still has ownership over parts of her life, and it sucks. And like I just mentioned, my wine could be referring to them enjoying wine. That could be a memory, but he could have a hand in how she feels when she drinks wine. Perhaps when she drinks wine, she feels calm and at ease. She's winding down, but she can't really do that anymore because he's tainted that for her. Like, how is she gonna wind down now when her memories of drinking wine are tainted by this relationship? I recommend a homemade PSL. I'm getting hyped on caffeine, so like I don't even know what's gonna happen in the rest of this video. Trying to find a part of me you didn't take up. So she feels used up. She gave everything. She is trying to rebuild her life, but she has nothing. But I'll be all right. It's just 1,000 cuts. That's obviously sarcastic. That's how I am taking that. I'll be all right. It's just 1,000 cuts. Even when you're sarcastic about something, it does show an awareness, right? Because you're mentioning it. If you weren't aware and if you didn't have a bit of an understanding about it, you wouldn't be sarcastic about it. Trust me, I'm sarcastic like 98.9% of the time. So I do think this is a good sign, but there's still not acceptance, right? Acceptance is different than acknowledgement. I think she's at the acknowledgement state, which is a good stepping stone, right? But I don't know if she's at the acceptance stage yet. Also, if anyone remembers the band Acceptance from MySpace with the song So Contagious, please like this video and please comment down below. And should I analyze that song? I don't know. Am I gonna go listen to it after this? Yes. The phrase, but it'll be all right, just suggests that she has come to terms with what's happened. She is recognizing it for what it is. And she's like, this happened, you hurt me. I gave you too much. I'm realizing that. I'm just acknowledging that that happened, because when you acknowledge something, that gives you the power to change it or to work through it and to just process it so you can throw it away and just walk into the daylight. I'm referencing her song Daylight, which I did a video of. I'll link that below. You have to call out things in your life so you can fix them. You know what I mean? Like, if you have like a flat tire and you don't acknowledge you have a flat tire, like, no, it's fine, it's chill, and you keep driving with it, you're gonna have problems. But if you acknowledge it, you're like, yes, in fact, I do have a flat tire. Once you accept that, you can now, like, you can check that realization off, and then you can go down the list. Okay, what do I do now? Okay, I call AAA, great. But if you don't do that first step of acknowledging a problem or an issue, you're not gonna be able to go down the list. So this is good, in my opinion. It'll be all right suggests that she's realizing all of this, and she's like, but you know what? It'll be all right. It is a sarcastic remark, but she still is realizing what happened. Even if she's bitter about it, she can recognize it. And I think that's a good first step. It's my take on it. Let me know if you agree down below. Now that the bridge is over, let's all go do Zumba together. Hashtag cardio. The next verse, a lot of the lines are repeated. It's a very long verse. I'm just gonna talk about the part of that verse that is something that is new. It's a new lyric. It's at the very end, and it says, trying to find a part of me that you didn't touch, my body, my love, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. No, no. It's a really bad feeling to feel like you weren't enough for someone, especially when you truly feel like you gave them everything you had. The breakup feels like it's a reflection of who you are as a person. And, you know, it isn't. You know, sometimes two people are like good human beings. They're just not going to work out. It's a really bad feeling when you feel like what you did wasn't enough, especially when you made so much effort and you gave them everything. So that is very heartbreaking. And then the word no, it's repeated. No, no. It's very vulnerable. It's very sad. It's true. You know, you feel this way sometimes. And please listen to the song. You can hear the anxiety and the angst and like the stress in the song, but in a really good way. Like, it's a bop. I guess like people are saying bop. I don't know. Whatever. It's really good. It's a really good song. You can do cardio to it. It's the last verse of the song. I take the long way home. I ask the traffic lights if it'll be all right. They say, I don't know. And at the end, Taylor does something that I love that she does. I talked about this before. She did it with Cornelia Street. She did it in her journals, in her Lover album, in the deluxe edition, in the journal about her mom going antiquing. She did it in Begin Again. She does this thing where she ends a song with a lyric from the beginning, and it kind of comes full circle. I love that that happens because it feels like you're standing somewhere, you had a whirlwind, then you come back to the same spot. It's a very pleasant way to end a song. But whenever she does this and she ends something the way she started it, it keeps all of those very strong emotions contained. I feel like if she would leave the song open-ended and not do a full circle thing, it'll just end on a very intense note, an outpouring of emotion, like angst. But when she does it like this and she does a full circle thing, it kind of is a containment of those intense feelings. and it doesn't feel as intense and as explosive. It feels a little bit safer and calmer. She's still taking the long way home. In my mind, I'm just gonna pretend this is true, that the first time she was driving the long way home, she was gonna go and drive by the House of Love just to check up on it, like you're checking up on an old boyfriend, which I haven't done, okay? But Taylor has mentioned that she's done before, so I'm just gonna interpret it in that manner. But now that she's taking the long way home, in my mind, she's going back to her own dwelling and she's moving on. So I do think the connotation here is a little bit different. She's still asking for counsel from the traffic lights, as one does. She's still processing it, but there's definitely stages to processing a breakup or anything in life. Sometimes you go through a similar stage multiple times. You go through those thoughts, you go through those memories to try to understand them, but it becomes calmer and calmer and calmer, and your anger and your bitterness becomes diluted. That's the feeling I get when I read this last verse. This song also winds down, and this is a repeated lyric, but the connotation of this whole verse at the end is one that's much calmer and a little bit more grounded. It suggests to me that healing is going to start to take place soon. You know, it's important to acknowledge the feelings you had so you can move on from them. So just to sum up this song, Death by a Thousand Cuts is a breakup song. Taylor herself confirmed it. Not about her though, it's a fictional breakup song. It is intense. It has a lot of imagery. It has a lot of very specific examples that help create more of an emotional bond to the song. It's just really good. I feel like how everyone loved Getaway Car and Reputation, and how everyone loved Holy Ground and Red. I feel like this is that vibe where it's just like, it's good, it should be a single, but she's not gonna make it a single. Probably not. I don't know. The diction she chose really create an intimate feeling. You really get to feel what the person in the song is feeling, and her thoughts are unfiltered and they're very, very raw. That's it for this video. Please like it if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new. I take an in-depth look at lyrics on this channel, and it usually becomes kind of existential, kind of depends. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought. If you had a different take on it, let me know. And if you have any songs you want me to take a look at, Taylor Swift or not, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!